Jay Pestrichelli has finally addressed the community's concerns of possible reverse splits coming for ULTY and other YieldMax ETFs. This video is not financial advice, nor is it a recommendation. Please do your own due diligence before investing into anything. In a recent interview, Jay, one of the managers for the YieldMax line of ETFs, explained how they approach reverse splits, if we're getting one, and how they might be executed. The most important point he emphasized was that the absolute red line for a reverse split was share prices at or near the $5 mark. He explained they cannot allow them to reach that point for any reason. In a previous interview, he also mentioned they prefer every YieldMax fund somewhere in the neighborhood of $50 a share. Of course, it's not enough to simply not reverse split. They have to address the underlying concern, the problems that cause these funds to continue trending down in the first place. And that problem is NAV erosion. When Jay was asked about this and was not allowed to dodge the question, Jay didn't deny that NAV erosion is a problem and one of the main issues that does eventually cause reverse splits with YieldMax ETFs. His answer made it seem like YieldMax was just giving the people what they said they wanted, which was high dividends at any cost. When Jay expounded upon this, he did reveal that they give back all the premium income and not just all the profits after the trade is settled. This is basically like a company, a regular stock, that pays you not only a portion of the profits per quarter, but also pays you all the revenue that came in too. That includes the capital they invested to make those profits. And when you look at it from that perspective, it's very easy to see how this cannot be sustainable long term. Jay also made a point of mentioning that they are locked into this method unless they change the prospectus, because the prospectus limits them to what they said they would do, which is this current approach. After that, he did say that they would be amenable to changing the prospectus if they felt the community wanted those changes. In particular, changes like preserving the NAV, making that a priority over just spitting out as many dollars as possible in dividends. Now, Jay did try to ask for a possible example as to how that would look, and he gave the example of maybe only paying out 15 to 20% per year in dividend yields. That would look more like those target 20% ETFs like SPY or XPay that I just got done covering. And while that is a step in the right direction, I think there's actually a much better idea that I haven't heard anyone really discuss. But if you want to hear about that, I think it really should be its own video, because it would just take over this entire video if I did it right now. If you want to see me cover that, write in the comments, make the video, and I'll go ahead and make it. But for now, let's finish covering what Jay said about reverse splits. Another issue he addressed was how hard it is to trade against high volatility stocks. While their contracts do have higher premiums and can bring in more income per contract, the volatility makes those trades harder to time. He cited Tesla as one of those stocks that was hard to consistently profit from because you never know what it's going to do in a given day. Of course, if volatility is an issue for YieldMax, I wonder how they'll be able to turn ULTY around. Which brings us to another issue he addressed. The one thing the folks at YieldMax cannot control is what the underlying stock does. Even if traders do everything correct, a bad day for the underlying can still be a bad day for the YieldMax ETF. This makes it seem almost impossible for ETFs like MRNY or AIYY to have any real chance of avoiding a reverse split. When Jay was asked in one of his interviews if they would reverse split just one ETF at a time or several at a time, he tried to dodge the question. Now, I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but him not wanting to answer that question leads me to believe that if just one of these ETFs trips into that red line territory, again, that's somewhere near the $5 threshold, any other ETFs that might be anywhere near it or close to it would be likely to also reverse split at that same time. This seems like a good time to point out that MRNY is currently sitting around $7, AIYY is around $9.25, and ULTY only recently went back above the $10 mark. And actually, I just went back and checked, MRNY has, since I've recorded this and written that particular part of the script, it's actually gone down further. MRNY right now, as I'm looking at it, is at $6.71 and went as low as $6.41 yesterday. So this is emergency level territory. I think MRNY is going to head for a reverse split somewhere in the near future, maybe in the next few days. We'll see what happens. Now, I know that Jay and the people at YieldMax get a lot of flack from the community, but to their credit, they do respond to our concerns. They recently added it in the call spreads as a way to try to uncap our gains potential. They do go out there and do interviews, including the very difficult interview that I'm pulling from for this particular video. And for that reason, I'm confident that if we make it clear to them that we want them to protect our NAV and make that a priority, that they will do that at some point in the near future. If you like this video, you might also enjoy this one here on the screen. Subscribe to join the Cash Flow Club and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video.